Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. I'm really excited today because we're going to finally break open one of Robert Stone's best books, which is Hypno Cybernetics, which was written by Petrie. And so I've been waiting for this to come out on Kindle so I could read it to you. It's always an honor to read the Robert Stone material. And there is so much good stuff we've already talked about, the power of miracle metaphysics and psychotronic power. But today's is a little bit different than the others. I really like the books that Robert Stone wrote with Petrie, and Martinis and Whipped Cream is one of the more popular books I have actually never read because I don't like martinis, but it's a diet book. He was a hypnotist. There's a book on dietetics I've read by Petrie that's pretty good. And it was one of those older books that before they had MP3s, it actually had a record inside. But this one is interesting because it has a technique for you to contact your automatic mind using the finger levitation technique. It is a kind of a different way of programming and accessing your subconscious mind, testing it out, sort of a muscle test that you can do that is very good. It's kind of based on a model if you were to treat your subconscious as a computer program, and suppose the wrong information is being fed into the computer, and would you still be getting the same things that you want? So it's using this programming, changing the programming, and using cybernetics to reprogram yourself. And you'll find some success. It's fun to listen to some of these techniques. Some of them are a little different than any ones we've talked about so far. We're going to cover the beginning chapters of it, but you want to definitely get this on Kindle. It's Hypno Cybernetics, Helping Yourself to a Rich New Life by Robert B. Stone and Petrie. How the power of Hypno Cybernetics can give you a rich new life almost immediately. Know this. Today can be the day that changes your life. Before you are through with this, you will see a richer way of living begin to stretch before you like an open, inviting road. It is not a road for everybody. Some people are so discouraged they couldn't care less about tomorrow. But you've already proved yourself. You have the spark that it takes to start yourself on a fascinating adventure. You have this book in your hands. You are ready for bigger and better things, for money, friends, fun, and adventure. You are ready to feel better when you wake up in the morning, achieve more at your work during the day, enjoy yourself with fascinating people in the evening, and drop off to sleep like a baby at night with a smile on your face. How is this all possible? You have heard that we use only a small fraction of our vital brain capacity. You've also heard our phenomenal brain being compared to a gigantic computer, which, were it to be duplicated by man, might fill the large Times Square area in New York. Well, put one and one together. Correct. We can now tap this vast reservoir of our mind. We can vault ourselves to new heights of health, wealth, happiness, power, and success. We do this by borrowing a technique from the computer world, but we do not have to be computer mechanics or electronic geniuses to do it. A 6-year-old can learn to use Hypno Cybernetics. If you can operate the buttons and dials on a washing machine or a television set, you can follow the simple push-button-like instructions that await you in the pages ahead. In fact, Hypno Cybernetics is easier to work with than some household appliances we've seen. Actually, Hypno Cybernetics should be taught in the primary grades at school, but it isn't, at least not yet. It takes no special skill to learn, no willpower, no consuming drive, not even what we call ambition. It is so simple, so easy, so natural that it just happens. It happens just as easily as reading this page or wondering what time it is or thinking about the opposite sex. The dramatic fact is that when it happens, you could read this page twice as fast and with less effort. You might know exactly what time it was the moment you wondered about it. and your spouse or date might telephone you as you were thinking about the opposite sex. What Hypno Cybernetics is. Take a look at the word Hypno Cybernetics. You see it as a combination of two words, the prefix for hypnotism and cybernetics. Hypnotism is the modern means we have to contact a large portion of our mind called the subconscious or automatic mind. Cybernetics is the equally modern means we have to instruct or program any automated device. So Hypno Cybernetics is a modern means to contact our vast subconscious mind and program it to do our bidding. How LB used Hypno Cybernetics for business success. LB had what you might call a marginal success in his dry cleaning business. He did meticulous work, but he felt tense and irritable most of the time. His customers could feel it. He lost them as fast as he made new ones, sometimes faster. A week after he tried his hand at Hypno Cybernetics, he was at ease, confident, and good-natured in his shop. His customers felt his high spirits and responded to his enthusiasm. Business improved steadily. When we say that LB tried his hand, we mean just that. Doing Hypno Cybernetics means sitting in a chair and doing something with your hands. How to put the finger on your subconscious mind. How does a hand or finger movement contact the magnificent subconscious mind? Every motion of the body, whether voluntary or involuntary, stems from the mind. The authors have been working with a simple finger movement that has permitted thousands to establish communication with their subconscious minds as easily as eating apple pie. No long trance-like sessions that are often associated with hypnotism. You just sit down and do it. Once you learn, the world is yours. We have seen our clients become the people they have always wanted to be almost overnight. Let's get one thing clear right from the start. Hypno Cybernetics is not some mystical, occult, magical concoction. On the contrary, it is scientifically and medically sound. It is a no-nonsense method used by psychiatrists, psychologists, dentists, and physicians, as well as by homemakers, students, and business people. It is successful. Remember this about Hypno Cybernetics. It is not mysterious. It is not supernatural. It is not philosophical. It is not religious. It is not occult. Quite the contrary, it is scientific. It is natural. It is comfortable. It is effortless. It is proven. What makes you think I can benefit from Hypno Cybernetics? The authors of this book are paramedics. That is to say, they work under the auspices of physicians or psychiatrists, where weight loss, cigarette smoking, fears and phobias, or other health factors are involved. They also work with or without this medical referral or direction where non-medical matters are involved, such as the desire to be a more successful salesman, more efficient housewife, or better student. With or without the health factor, it is important that the authors get across to every person who tries it this point. Hypno Cybernetics works. When we hear that common question, what makes you think it will work for me? We answer, it does not matter what we think so, but it is absolutely vital that you think so. What your mind can do for you. Your mind is wonderful, the way it works. Doctors find that patients who have confidence in them enjoy more rapid recoveries. Also, a person with rose fever who walks into a room with a vase of plastic roses begins to manifest all of the sneezy symptoms that he expects. A salesman who does not expect to make the sale seldom does. Belief and expectation are like the main on-off buttons that need to be pushed first before you can program the mind properly to reach its goal. Take the matter of health. We may not want to be Bamar McFadden or Paul Bragg or Rex Revell, but we all want to be healthy, free of pains and aches, and radiating attractiveness and energy. To get there, we need to believe it is our right, just as they did. We may not want to be a Napoleon or a Churchill or a Lincoln, but we all want to be uniquely ourselves, creative, productive, admired, and possibly even remembered, as they did. We must believe it possible. We may not want to be a William Randolph Hearst, an Andrew Carnegie, or a John D. Rockefeller, but we all want to have enough money to eat well, live well, pay our bills, and travel with enough left over for our old age and heirs. Know that it can be. The mind does it all. It makes you sick or it makes you well. It makes you live a life of a tired vegetable or a life of vigor and vitality. It can be programmed for unending money troubles or good fortune after good fortune. And Hypno Cybernetics is the way to program your mind for whatever you want out of life. That kind of programming automatically works for your benefit always and unceasingly. Believe it. Expect it. Everybody's got it for happiness and success. KL was trapped. He worked at a job in construction which he disliked intensely, but his family could not afford to miss 1 week's salary. He was frustrated, hostile, and depressed. How could he ever get out of this work and into something he liked without bill collectors breathing down his neck? He blamed his family, his boss. He blamed the world. Hypno Cybernetics now enters his life. He programmed his subconscious mind in several steps as follows. 1. Everything's going to be okay, don't sweat it. 2. A little planning can lead to different work. 3. Act like a free man. It worked. No biochemist can tell you how. Maybe the automatic mind sends signals to the endocrine glands. Maybe the metabolism changes. Maybe the blood sugar rises. What does it matter? KL began to feel less tormented. He knew that a change would come, so he was less tense. His personality improved. He really did feel like a free man. He was able to get along better with his coworkers, and his family enjoyed him more. He started to visualize himself in a place of his own, where he could work on television repair. Now he was ready to try his hand at Hypno Cybernetics again. He sat down in his chair and, using his finger signals, programmed his automatic mind as follows. 1. I will learn more about color television. 2. I will find a shop where I can rent. 3. I will find a partner to be the outside man representative. Inside of 3 weeks, KL was on his way. He took a night course, located a low rental shop on a side street, advertised for a partner with capital enough to buy the necessary tools and equipment, and perhaps he fixed your set. Either you've got it or you don't. True or false? False. Everybody's got it. Everybody's got what it takes to have all the love, money, good health, power, happiness, and success that they seek. We just do not know where the right button is to push. Occasionally, somebody stumbles on this button. He starts programming his automatic mind without knowing it. To the rest of us, it looks as if he just gets all the breaks and he climbs the organizational ladder, travels in the best circles, captivates people with his new aliveness. As he passes by and gives us a big hello, we look at each other and say, he's got it. Physical attractiveness can be turned on and off. 2 sociologists recently reported in Psychology Today magazine that good-looking students were more likely to get good marks in school than their uglier peers. Ellen Burchild and Elaine Walster pasted photographs of students on their individual records and asked teachers to evaluate their IQ. Identical records earned higher evaluations when the photos were of boys and girls who had been previously adjudged attractive. What is also interesting is that the children themselves, when asked to identify troublemakers versus teachers, pets, chose the least attractive photos for the ones who were most likely to disrupt the class, and vice versa. What the report assumed was that bad looks can escalate disadvantaged circumstances, but perhaps the cart was before the horse. There's increasing evidence that human attitudes and human emotions can affect not only the internal health of the body, but also its external appearance. People who think mean often look mean. People who are torn by worry and anxiety show it. People who are friendly look friendly. People who always see the good side of life shine with a special light. Criminologists know that there is a typical criminal appearance of habitual inmates. Now they have found that when plastic surgery is used to change that classic criminal look, the men behind those criminal masks no longer act the part. Their rate of returning to prison is sharply reduced. And so the question is raised, in the case of the beautiful children who are the teacher's pets, which comes first, being loving or those lovable looks? The authors have seen time and time again where a client walks in thoroughly unattractive and walks out like a magazine ad model. How one transformation was made. Now let's get this straight. The transformation is not always 100% directly mental, but it is 100% directly or indirectly mental. There was Jackie L. She was just a plain brunette when she was in her teens and a golden blonde when she was married. She tried being a redhead after her first child, but she did not seem to fit the part, for by now she was beginning to look down in the mouth because that's the way she felt. She had put on more than 30 pounds since her marriage. The boredom and drudgeries of married life were beginning to show on her. With Hypno Cybernetics, she used the following programming of her subconscious or automatic mind. 1. The best part of life lies ahead of me. 2. I am proud of my shapely body. 3. I see myself slender and beautiful. 4. I enjoy only nourishing foods and find that modest portions satisfy me fully. 5. I look at my best naturally as a brunette. Jackie responded very quickly and effortlessly to her newly instructed mind. She became vivacious, happy, and exuberant. Her posture improved as she appreciated the attraction of her own shapely curves to others, and she walked with a new, confident stride. She dropped 25 pounds in 7 weeks without ever feeling hungry. Her muscle-toned skin and body tissues responded to nutrients. She looked years younger and more alive. She no longer felt the need to take attention away from the rest of herself by dyeing her hair an outlandish color. Well, you say anybody can improve in looks if she loses weight and eats sensibly, but that's a mighty big if. Not all of us can change our eating habits at will. Willpower is not the whole answer. Willpower is great, but Hypno Cybernetics is far greater. You're at a party, you see the hot hors d'oeuvres being passed around, you spot pigs in a blanket, those tiny frankfurters in dough fattening. A tiny voice inside tells you of the consequences. Dough fattening, the tray is coming closer. Dough fattening, oh, just 1 or 2 won't hurt me, and you say, and you reach. Now watch your girlfriend to your left. You know pigs in a blanket are her favorite too. But what you don't know is she has learned and practiced Hypno Cybernetics. Swedish meatballs, my favorite, she says gleefully as she spears one with a toothpick. There wasn't 1 ounce of discipline needed. She hardly even saw the fattening pigs in a blanket. She automatically preferred what was better for her to eat. It's a very short journey to beauty and attractiveness, to being more truly yourself, and it's easy, downhill all the way. To live a longer life and fuller of satisfaction. Some scientists who understand the workings of the automatic mind now believe that it may be responsible for man's lifespan of some scant 70 years. In reality, we could live much longer, they believe, but we are programmed to die around that age. At Columbia University award-winning physicist Dr. Gerald Feinberg began the Prometheus Project by writing a book with that title. He has now been joined by a number of other distinguished scientists, including Dr. Benjamin Schloss. Dr. Schloss deplores the fact that man is absorbed in changing his environment and seems to forget that he can change himself. People dismiss the possibility of living indefinitely, Dr. Schloss points out, because they have been programmed to believe that evolution has given us 70 years and we're stuck with it. The Prometheus Project is aimed at reprogramming us for a much longer life. It is not as far out as it sounds. In his book, How to Conquer Physical Death, Friend Stewart asserts that the person who realizes now that he is immortal and has conquered physical death, can you see yourself living on and on? If you cannot, then there is no use hoping that anything likely will happen. But when you reprogram the mind, can cure scores of disease, cause childbirth without pain, end allergies, accelerate post-operative healing, change aging skin pigmentation, restore more normal sight and hearing, diminish paralytic effects of disease, stop unwanted bleeding, heighten resistance to disease, elevate total health, then one wonders where it needs to stop. Hypno Cybernetics will not teach you how to live forever, but it will teach you how to add years to your life and dynamic life to your years. How to get results for yourself. Now, reprogramming the automatic mind is not done with punched tape-like computers. It is done with mental images. Any mental image works, but hypno-cybernetic images work best. You can see for yourself how mental images produce what they picture. Try this. Sit comfortably, close your eyes. See yourself interested, absorbed, and convinced that the answers for your own life will come in the following section of this book. See yourself putting this book down and doing each exercise called for. How hypno-cybernetics can help you on those days when everything seems to go wrong. Now you start to work with the automatic mind. You see how it responds to your programming instantly and accurately to make every day better. You begin to see the possibilities that hypno-cybernetics has for you. A team of research scientists at the Stanford Research Institute in California has developed a mechanical substitute for the brain. It can perform only a small portion of its functions. In fact, it can only direct the movement of the legs and the arms. But there is a parallel in what is happening at this institute and the technique of HC, Hypno Cybernetics. So far, this programmed brain stimulator has been used only for monkeys, but its inventors hope that eventually it may help persons paralyzed by strokes to regain the use of their limbs. Here is how it came about. The researchers located 200 points in the brainstem of a monkey, which, when electrically stimulated, caused movements in the wrists, elbows, and shoulders, for the arms, and in the knees and hips for the legs. Then they programmed a computer to send electrical currents in proper sequence for partially paralyzed monkeys to perform certain basic activities. One sequence enabled a monkey to extend its arms, grab food, and bring it back to its mouth. Another sequence allowed the animal to scratch its back. Still another permitted the extension of the arm for the purpose of climbing, and there were more. When placed in front of a set of buttons, which were the switches for the computer, the monkeys learned which button activated them to perform the desired motion. Each was then able to touch a button and direct his own movements: reach, eat, scratch, climb, etc. Of course, the analogy is a limited one. HC uses no outside computer. It does not wire us for sound. The buttons we push are imaginary buttons. Also, HC can help us perform an infinite number of sequences, not just the basic kind used to help monkeys. Nevertheless, it is enlightening to know that the mind does in fact exist as an automatic electronic device, and that it can be programmed. Writing in the medical journal Stroke, Dr. Lawrence Pineo, team leader at the Stanford Research Institute, foresees the programmed stimulator as eventually used to correct behavioral disorders. Research in the brain and how it works is being conducted on many fronts. Biologists have discovered that one single human brain cell may be wired to as many as 60,000 other cells. They have also found that when brain cells of mice are separated and placed in a solution, they proceed to join up and form connections, even insulating these connections to prevent interference. Is it possible to imagine the potential intelligence in the human brain complex of billions of sophisticated cells? It literally boggles the mind. Let's go for the small prizes first. A businessman asked the authors, "Can I improve my own business effectiveness with HC?" When asked precisely what he wanted to accomplish, he rattled off a dozen accomplishments like make accurate forecasts, accelerate growth, gain company recognition, make sound decisions, spur teamwork, develop long-range plans. We stopped him abruptly with a quick, "Of course, but what? But you have to walk before you can run." We had to convince him that matters closer to home and closer to him had to come first. Matters like get up on the right side of the bed in the morning, know how to end a headache or backache or other nagging pain, look better, be more phlegmatic, end tension, master habits, recharge strength, be a real good guy at home and among friends. It may take a few days, but first things first, business is built on people. And business can be no stronger or more successful than the people behind it. The secret of strong people lies in the power of their own self-reliance. They control suspicion, envy, and hate because they rely on their own statesmanship to rise above such negative emotions. They overcome personality hang-ups and are able to do their thing because they rely on their own individuality. They enjoy peace of mind because they rely on their ability to insulate themselves from strength, sapping circumstances. These are the people with low doctor's bills, high income, and plenty of fun out of life. They don't even have a bad taste in their mouth in the morning. They are free of depression, grumpiness, and the kind of pesky things that bug most of us. Self-reliance is their key to deal successfully with their problems. Program yourself for self-reliance and you become a different person. Are you ready? Let's do it right now as follows. 3 steps that improve the climate for your access. Read these instructions until we tell you to put the book down, then review them if you need to. First, hold your arms out parallel in front of you, with palms facing each other a few inches apart. Thumbs up. Now close your eyes. Visualize a shopping bag over your left wrist. It is full of canned goods and is very heavy. Also visualize over the other wrist a balloon filled with helium. It is so light it pulls your right arm up. Don't end this visualizing exercise until you can picture and feel the heavy shopping bag pulling down on your left wrist and the light balloon pulling up on your right wrist. When you are sure you have visualized it as it were true, open your eyes. Right now, stop this episode and try it. If you visualized as if it were true, that is, if you pretended the bag and balloon were really there, when you open your eyes, you found your left arm was lower than your right arm. For some, it may be only a slight difference. For others, the left arm may have been slanted down sharply toward the floor and the right arm raised at an angle toward the ceiling, perhaps a vertical foot or more between the palms. Now, even if your palms were only an inch or less apart vertically, you demonstrated that you have the power to visualize as if it were true. This is good. It is vital to your being effective at programming your automatic mind. Remember, we said that this kind of programming is not done with punched cards like those for electronic computers, but with mental images like those you have just used. If you're not satisfied with the movement of your arms in this exercise, practice it again. Do it until you see good results. Don't let your conscious mind move your arms. That is, don't move them consciously. Use your conscious mind to imagine the shopping bag and balloon. Forget your arms. Let your automatic mind do the rest. What is really happening here? We imagine something and our body behaves as if it were true. Suppose you visualize yourself inside a walk-in refrigeration room at a butcher shop. Would you start to shiver? Or suppose you imagined yourself in the middle of a hot, dry desert under the scorching noonday sun. Would you perspire? Chances are few people can visualize that realistically, but add the HC factor and watch the difference. A person using HC will respond to the image of hot and cold instantly because these images are reached with the automatic mind, just like punched cards fed into a computer. You will learn how to add the HC factor to your visualizing. Meanwhile, though, if your hands move in the shopping bag test, you can move ahead on the way to attaining more self-reliance. How to clear your mental channels so your message can get through for results. Mrs. RP wanted to lose weight. She was using HC to reprogram her eating habits. 3 weeks had passed and everything was going along fine except for one thing. She wasn't losing any weight. In discussing what might be the problem, she blurted out, "I guess I just can't see myself thin." With that, the HC practitioner went into his private office where he kept before and after photographs. He took her before picture and with some white opaquing ink, he removed some of her outline in the picture, making her look slender. Then he returned and handed it to her. She looked at it for a moment, then tears rolled down her cheeks. It was a psychological breakthrough. She was seeing herself thin, probably for the first time in a long while. From then on, HC worked. Where she had been blocking it before, the mental image could now be formed and get through to its destination. The next exercise is fun and quite rejuvenating. It helps to clear the mental path so the messages can get through. It is a relaxing exercise. Here is how it's done. Sit comfortably in your chair with your hands on your lap. Visualize yourself in a gray room. It has 4 walls, a ceiling, and a floor all light gray. The walls are impenetrable. Sounds cannot be heard. Even thoughts cannot enter the light gray room to run through your mind. You sit there in a mental vacuum. No consciousness of your body. No concern about the outside world. No care about things you must do. Just pure peace of mind for a minute or so. Now put the book down, get comfortable, and do it. Do you feel more rested? At a higher level of well-being, our mind enjoys this rest, even if it does not go 100% smoothly on the first try. It is beneficial, and it paves the way for a final step towards self-reliance. Final step for a brighter today. Someone once said that 99% of the things we worry about never come to pass, and the 1% that does is never as bad as we expected. As someone else put it, don't tell me that worry does not do any good. I know better. The things I worry about don't happen. Worry is a killer. It saps our strength, darkens our days, and does things to our body chemistry. It can bring on illnesses, such as stomach ulcers. If continuous, these illnesses can have fatal complications. Worry colors our life black. The opposite of black is white. The opposite of darkness, light. All we need to do is program ourselves for illumination. The final step takes advantage of the first two steps. The first step has proved to us that if we pretend something is so in our imagination, our body reacts as if it were indeed so. The imagined picture comes true. The second step has enabled us to quiet our mind for a minute or so. It's like holding the camera still. This helps us get a better mental picture. Now, we will quiet our mind and picture ourselves an illumined and self-reliant person. Everybody is different. We all have different experiences. We are physically different, and we have different personality strengths and weaknesses. What depresses, disappoints, demoralizes, or bugs you may not bother anyone else in your family. Similarly, you would need a mental picture to bolster you different from your neighbor. The third step requires a positive mental picture. It takes place in a room bathed in beautiful white light to dispel the gloom. What takes place? This is where the differences occur. It must be an event that you understand to be the ultimate in recognition. Something familiar before you witnessed it. What good is it to see yourself backstage in a dressing room with a star on the door if you do not know from your experience that such a symbol is reserved only for the elite in the acting world? Or what good is it to visualize yourself receiving the Black Belt Award if you do not know its importance in karate? Here is a list of events. All have one thing in common: recognition. Select one that you understand, one that makes your heart swell up with pride. Being toasted at a ceremonial dinner in your honor. You're receiving an ovation after being named the man or woman of the year. You're being carried on the shoulders of your admirers after scoring the winning touchdown or hitting the winning home run. You just won a beauty or physical culture contest. You've just been cited at a company meeting for sparking a new company record. You're standing before the honor guard as a 4-star general pins the Distinguished Service Cross on you. You have your right hand raised. You're being sworn in as President of the United States. You are making the valedictorian address at your graduation. You have a letter in your hand. It says that something you have written has just won you a Pulitzer Prize. You are taking your place on the throne. It is coronation day, or you embraced by the most attractive female or male you can imagine who expresses love for you. Select the one that you find the easiest to visualize happening. Now, this is serious business. Are you ready for a change in your life? Or would you prefer to stay in a rut or just feel sorry for yourself? If you sincerely want today to be a better day, and if you are really willing to accept a life of rewarding tomorrows, the switchover is only 2 minutes away. Instructions: sit comfortably in your chair. Picture the same room as you used in the previous exercise. Only this time, there are no light gray walls. Instead, you are bathed in beams of brilliant light. You see the event you selected in the above list happening to you. Enjoy it for at least a minute, longer if you like. See it happening as if it were true. Any questions? If not, put the book down and do it now. The first day of the rest of your life. Betty L. was a loner. She got to her typing job at 9 a.m. and left at 5 p.m. Nobody bothered her in the typing pool or at the drinking fountain or lunch counter. She realized it was a lonely life, but she was a nobody, wasn't she? So she accepted it until she was hospitalized with acute appendicitis. She took a liking to the attractive young intern with a kind bedside manner. He asked if he could call her when she recovered. Now back at the office, she had something to share with the other girls. Would he call? What would happen next? One of the girls knew about HC and arranged an appointment for her at our office. Not wanting to muff the chance, when her intern called, she agreed to try HC. It turned out that she had only 3 days, but that's all she needed. She programmed herself for attractiveness, self-confidence, and outgoingness. The intern said how much better she looked out of the hospital. They dated frequently. It was the start of a much more interesting life for Betty L., both in the office and out. When you did the shopping bag exercise, your arms reacted immediately to the image you put in your mind. It is the same with any image you put in your mind. The action begins immediately. The self-reliance exercise you just completed has started something. Without even thinking about it, you are going to walk and talk like a more self-reliant person. Your automatic mind is going to move you that way. The more often you repeat this exercise, the greater will be the difference that you will be able to notice in your own feeling and opinion of yourself. What is called your self-image. At first, you may feel as if you are playing a game, just pretending, but that's also how you feel when you first try to ride a bicycle. You pretend you can ride it so that you can become conditioned to be a bicycle rider. Pretty soon, the pretending is no longer necessary. Look, Mom, no hands. Changes are already taking place in you. For some, there may even be a rise of 1 or 2 points in the pulse, which will later subside. Others may feel a desire to stand straighter with shoulders back and stomach in, or there may be a feeling of exhilaration or expectation or lightness. Go to a full-length mirror, see if you can detect some change. Do you like a more self-reliant person? How is your posture? Do you see any improvements you might make in your grooming? Hair, nails, face, hands, attire? If you feel an impulse to stand straighter or walk more briskly or comb your hair, do it. Don't fight it. The image you fed into your mental computer is now behaving you. Let it. Only good can come from illumination, self-reliance, and an improved self-image. Today can be the first day of a great new life. The high voltage power you can attain with HC. The exercise in this chapter gives you only an inkling of what HC has to offer. As you learn the techniques described, your mental images become more powerful. You actually deliver them to your automatic mind with more voltage. The changes you seek happen more dramatically. You discover that you have special talents you never knew you had. You find yourself in the right place at the right time, whether you're looking for a parking place or a better job. You're able to express yourself better. The ideas begin to flow. You begin to read people. It's more than their body language. You seem to know how they feel and how they will take you to you. Your senses of smell, taste, and touch improve, become more discriminating. Incredible change can take place in good fortune and circumstances. Much of this we do not understand. All we can say about it is that the working of the fantastic human brain harnessed for more complete and efficient use. There seems to be no end of good that it can provide for us when programmed positively. Later, this programming will be more focused. Instead of giving your automatic mind general, for motherhood and against sin types of instructions, you will soon be targeting in on specific goals, even a specific girl or a specific amount of money or a specific kind of car or house. How to overcome negative thinking. Recent newspaper reports picture Mrs. Edward M. Kennedy as living with the specter of assassination in her mind. She dreads 1976 as the year Senator Kennedy may run for the presidency and, like his brothers, be assassinated. Psychotherapy, she is quoted as stating, has made her feel more independent, more self-assured. But apparently, she still has that dread. Specific fears almost always require specific attention. And using HC for them, you're able to locate the cause, then you're able to take the whole package, the events that caused the problem and the problem itself, and store it in the basement of your mind where other dead memory files are stored. By taking it out of the active file this way, it can no longer activate for you. There isn't an unwanted habit as smoking or nail biting that you now have that you can't get rid of quickly and without willpower or discipline. There isn't a new habit that you would like to have as the habit of saving money or the habit of being on time that you can't attain quickly and easily. Do the 3-step exercise that transform dull days into bright ones. First, the shopping bag exercise. Next, the mind quieting exercise. Finally, the image building exercise that promotes self-confidence and self-reliance. The first do not need to be repeated, but repeat step 3 as many times as you have time for. Each time you do it, you reinforce the programming. You become stronger, more successful, oriented person day by day. Your first steps in harnessing the power of Hypno Cybernetics. The following is an actual case history of a woman referred by a medical doctor to Sidney Petrie, an author of this book. Doc, I just don't seem to have any energy to go through the day. Even making the beds exhausts me. Maybe I've got some disease. Maybe it's my heart or my liver. Wait a minute, Mrs. Jensen. I've just explained that the tests and the complete examination you received show no organic problem. But this does not mean I can't help you. With that, the doctor began to write on his prescription pad. He tore off the slip and handed it to her. She looked at it. Who is this Mr. Petrie? If the doctor then attempted to explain Hypno Cybernetics or hypnotherapy, the author would probably have never seen Mrs. Jensen, who wants to be told that their problem is in their mind. He merely said, "Trust me, Mrs. Jensen. Call for an appointment and see him." When Mrs. Jensen arrived, Mr. Petrie had already been briefed on her case history, yet he invited her to describe her problem to him. From the beginning, she told of her chronic depletion, her rapid tiring in the kitchen, even vacuuming the living room. "I have to stop and rest 4 or 5 times." Mr. Petrie listened attentively, made a few notes at his desk. Then he turned to her. "Mrs. Jensen, I think you are suffering from sensory distortion." She paled. "What's that?" Mr. Petrie rose and went into another room. In a moment he returned. He had 2 familiar cans, one that held frozen juice and another coffee. They now held something else. "Mrs. Jensen, hold out your hands, please, palms up. When I place these on your hands, tell me whether the can or the big can is heavier." Without a moment's hesitation, she said, "The small can is heavier, of course. Weigh them on that postage scale." She did. "Heavens, I was wrong. The big can is an ounce heavier." "I'm going to place these aluminum plates on the palms of your hands so that you can tell the size of the cans by their feel. Now close your eyes and try again." She closed her eyes. "The can in my right hand is heavier." She opened her eyes. This time she had it correct. It was the big can in her right hand. She thought a minute. "You mean to say, Mr. Petrie, that I would find my housework easier to do if I kept my eyes closed?" He laughed. "No, Mrs. Jensen, that's not quite it, but you're not too far away. We do have to cut off a message that is reaching your mind and causing a certain physical reaction. Just the way your eyes telegraphed a lie to your mind regarding the weight of those cans, a similar distortion is being telegraphed to your mind about your housework. You know this is true. You know from past experience, housework is not that tiring. That's why you have sought help. When Hypno Cybernetics, we can correct this. We can even create a shift in the opposite direction. We can make your housework seem absolutely effortless." Now Mrs. Jensen understood more about the mind. She became willing and even enthusiastic participant in 3 sessions, which devoted to one of 3 hypno-cybernetic steps. And that's all there was to it. The effect was immediate. No drugs, no weeks of therapy sessions. It transformed her into the young, energetic woman she used to be. It could have been easier for her. Instead of office visits, she could have used this book, had it existed then. The 3 magic steps that are not really magic at all. 3 simple steps that are magic in themselves. You could say they were as important as the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Instead of years to learn, they took only minutes. Still, though, they can spell difference between failure and success, despondency and happiness, sickness and health. They are not yet taught in school. Perhaps one day they will be. Here's how easy they are. 1. You relax comfortably in a chair. 2. You await an automatic finger signal that your subconscious mind is ready for your instructions. 3. You give your subconscious mind direct instructions, ordering the changes you want in your life. The details of the steps. Take step 1. Can anything be easier than relaxing comfortably in a chair? We do this when we address ourselves to the television set, to a meal, or to the evening newspaper. Nothing to it. Only this time we are addressing our attention to ourselves. Some of us need to learn how to do this. Step 2 takes instructions and practice. You may never have performed this precise step before. Like anything new, you must learn it. Hardly any of us ever consciously communicated with the subconscious mind. Still, it is easier than threading a needle or writing a check. Step 3 is holding a thought in your mind for a few seconds. Can you top that one for simplicity? However, what thought? And just how do you hold it? Here again, you need instruction. But the doing is as easy as enjoying a piece of apple pie and 3 times as fast. Add these 3 steps together and you get Hypno Cybernetics, a simple process adjusting habit patterns. For instance, you can change a habit of waking up at night to urinate into a habit of sleeping through the night. You can change a habit of detesting paperwork into a habit of getting through it accurately without hardly knowing it was there. You can change a habit of being quiet, retiring, and miserable at social gatherings into a habit of being the most interested person there and having a great time every time. You can change a habit of being grumpy and a downer about everything into a habit of radiating good cheer and encouragement. You can change a habit of letting the next man get the jump on you into the habit of always being one step ahead of the next fellow. You can change a habit of having periodic headaches, backaches, or other painful misery that the doctors can't pinpoint into the habit of feeling great day in and day out. A woman can change a habit of being less than fully satisfied in sexual relations into a habit of attaining bliss. And a man can change a habit, new or old, of not being able to perform sexually into a habit of always being a potent sexual partner. You can change a habit of indulging in too much food or drink or cigarettes into a habit of getting twice as much enjoyment in moderation. There really is no end of habits you can change. How to break the force of habit holding you back. But I have no habits, said one young real estate salesman whose wife had just used Hypno Cybernetics successfully to improve her ability to concentrate while taking university courses. He had called for her at Mr. Petrie's office on her final visit, and she was expressing her enthusiasm to him for its habit-breaking power. "What time do you get up in the morning?" Mr. Petrie asked the habit denier. 7 a.m., he replied. "But that's not a habit because I don't wake up at that time on Sundays." "What time do you wake up on Sundays?" 9 a.m., he laughed at the obvious trap he had fallen into. "We are all the product of our past experiences and environments," offered Mr. Petrie. "Every one of us is as we are because we are conditioned to be that way. The only one who cannot be helped by the reconditioning that Hypno Cybernetics makes possible and easy is the person who has all the money he wants, all the pleasure he wants, all the friends he wants, all the love he wants, all the influence he wants, all the youthfulness he wants, all the energy he wants, all the happiness he wants, and all the good health he wants. He's very satisfied. He does not want to change these habits." "You mean to say I'm in the habit of making only so many sales per month?" Mr. Petrie told him of the exterminator who in 2 weeks upped his batting average, calling on inquirers from 50% sales to 90%, and the new car salesman who was going to lose his job because in 3 weeks he had barely broken the ice, but who was up there with the best of them 5 weeks later. "You're a good salesman too," said the young man. "How about Tuesday at this time?" This couple has since moved into a beautiful new home, and both are enthusiastic proponents of Hypno Cybernetics. When you realize how much of your life is made up of circumstances that you yourself have created, you understand the power of the subconscious mind. Just about everything in your life is of your doing. You are powerless to change your life only because you do not know how to reach your subconscious mind. Once you learn how to reach your subconscious mind, you are able to reprogram it to move you not in the direction of past habits want you to go, but in the direction your hopes and aspirations want you to go. How to accomplish HC? Step 1 in 10 seconds. Step 1, you relax comfortably in a chair. Sounds easy. If it is, if you know how. How many of us will sit in a chair and feel relaxed because there's a load off our feet, or because we have a cigarette or a beer in our hand, or because it's a cushioned and upholstered chair that we can sink into? Yet our hands can still be shaking from an exasperating day's work, or our feet can be hurting, or our belt or brassiere can be too tight. Our mind can be running over all the things we have to do tomorrow or the ways we should have handled today's things. Relaxing comfortably in a chair means to be comfortable in both body and mind. Here are some tips. Pick a straight back chair. You're going to have to do some concentrating in step 2 and step 3. And those big plush varieties lull you to sleep. Use a chair without arms preferably. Your hands are going to be on your thighs for steps 2 and 3. Anyhow, chair arms might be restricting. Loosen all tight clothing. We often don't realize how really tight our clothing is. Take your shoes off, undo, unsnap, unzip. Take a deep breath and let it out slowly. Feel your whole body letting go like a limp balloon as you let the air out. Close your eyes. The moment you close your eyes, you know you have shut the outside world from your thoughts and you are ready to begin step 2. All of this need take only 10 seconds. Once you have the chair selected, you loosen your clothing on your way over to sit down. You kick off your shoes, take a deep breath, exhale slowly, close your eyes, and you are on your way. Step 2, the automatic finger signal. Step 2 is a different story. It is something you have never done before, so you will have to refer to the text a couple of times in the process of learning the procedure. But you can learn this procedure in the next 10 minutes by doing it once or twice with the book close by. Why not clear the decks first? Do step 1. Assure yourself you have the right kind of a chair in the right room, and you can relax quickly and easily in the way described. We'll wait. Now for step 2. It is called the automatic finger signal. It is your way of determining when your subconscious mind is ready to accept your new instructions. Your hands are resting on your thighs, palms down. You are very aware of your hands. You feel their weight on your thighs, and you feel their warmth. Concentrate on this weight. Become as sensitive as possible to a weight difference. Does one hand feel lighter than the other? One hand will feel lighter than the other if you are keenly aware of the slightest difference in sensation. As soon as one hand feels lighter, concentrate on the lightness of this hand. In fact, on any feeling or sensation that comes into that hand. Can you feel the transfer of heat from that hand to your leg? Is the hand particularly sensitive to the texture of the clothing on which it is resting? It is important that once a sensation of lightness is felt, you concentrate on this sensation. The same with a feeling of warmth or of texture. Sometimes one feels a tingling sensation. Whatever sensation you feel in the lighter hand, concentrate on that sensation. Now we're going to focus that concentration even more. We are going to center it on one finger, the index finger, next to the thumb. This index finger is now extremely light, and in it, we feel the other sensations, texture, warmth, tingling, whatever the light hand felt. Now, there is just one more step, and then something is going to happen. Think of your heavy hand as on one side of an old-fashioned scale, where one side goes down, the other side rises. Your heavy hand is causing the lighter hand to rise. You feel this inclination to rise in the light hand's index finger. You know that this finger will rise. In fact, you feel it pressing less and less on the leg. This concentration will actually produce a nerve impulse movement of the finger. It will slowly lift from the leg. It may take a few seconds for the finger to lift, or it may take a number of minutes, but lift it will. This initial movement of the finger is a signal from your subconscious mind that it is ready to receive your Hypno Cybernetic instructions. You give these instructions to your subconscious mind in step 3, but you cannot do step 3 until you have successfully accomplished step 1 and step 2. Try this now. Put the book down, relax in your chair, concentrate on the light hand on the index finger on its rising. Most people get a very definite rise of the index finger on the first try. Some get just a slight or almost imperceptible rise. Everybody gets a better rise the second time. This means greater contact with the subconscious mind. Still, greater contact can be obtained if, after you have received a good signal from one finger, you expand the lightness sensation to the other fingers of the lighter hand. You can get other fingers to rise too. In fact, you can concentrate on the palm of the hand, on the wrist, and on the entire arm. The whole arm will levitate. This is your subconscious mind activating the nerves that raise the arm. It proves that your subconscious mind is in close touch with your conscious mind. This is what you want to happen. The greater the lifting response, the deeper is your Hypno Cybernetic state, and the more effective your new life instructions will be. Even a slight movement of the index finger is enough to begin step 3. If the entire arm lifts, so much the better. But at any rate, you're ready to start step 3 now. Step 3, mining for gold. The subconscious mind is a powerhouse, a genie, a gold mine, all in one. And it is even more. Scientists are still not sure how it works. A waiter in a restaurant admires a house, stares at it longingly to and from work. One day, an old lady finds him in the restaurant and offers to sell him the house at a ridiculously low price that he can afford. And there he is, living in the house. The forces of accumulated self-images The images that we hold in our conscious mind long enough to etch into our subconscious mind come to fruition. The amazing part is how other people respond to help our own mental images to materialize. Does one subconscious mind contact another subconscious mind? Someday perhaps we will know. But meanwhile, this we know for sure. The better the hypnotic contact we have with our subconscious mind, the more quickly and more effectively the conscious imaging is etched into it. We have established that contact in step 2. How to prompt the subconscious. Our subconscious is now ready to receive and act upon whatever we hold in our subconscious mind. We can hold a statement in words, or we can hold a visual image. For example, if more money is your goal, you begin by saying to yourself, I desire wealth, and I will attain it. Or you can see yourself wealthy. That is, hold a mental image of yourself as a wealthy person. The oral method is not allowed. You say and feel the words silently to yourself. The image is clear. You see yourself as you want to be. Later, we will provide you with reinforcing mental suggestions or instructions which move you step by step to a more affluent, richer life. Case histories of a particularly aggravated problem. Sometimes problems exist that are much more perplexing, restricting, and serious than money problems. Take the case of Miss C.A., Secretary 22. She was obsessed with the idea that she had what she considered to be a facial disfigurement. She felt this marring of her looks was upsetting her life. She avoided social contact. She stayed at home, out of sight, except when she went to the office. She did not want any help. She resisted all efforts to convince her that she had no such disfigurement. Indeed, she had none and was a rather normal, plain-looking girl. It was obvious to those in her family and at the office who knew of her obsession that she was really using this non-existent disfigurement to avoid social contacts. She resisted all efforts to help her. She would not go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. No type of therapy was acceptable to her. One friend at the office had even talked to a cosmetic surgeon about arranging an interview and possibly even going through the motions of a minor plastic surgery. But she had said she had no faith in such an operation in her case. She was finally convinced by her sister that Hypno Cybernetics could help her live more comfortably with her condition. She went to our consulting office with this goal in mind. When she had finished telling her sad tale at the consultation, she was asked to move to a straight back chair from the couch where she had been sitting and to relax comfortably with her hands palms down on her lap. Step 1. Then she was led through the hand and finger concentration until first, her right hand index finger lifted. A few minutes later, her right arm floated up slowly until her wrist was level with her cheek. Step 2. Mr. Petrie suggested that it would be effortless for the hand to remain in this position for the next few minutes while she held a mental image in her mind. See yourself able to accept disappointment and the hard knocks of life without their affecting your peace of mind. See yourself willing to take a chance in your daily life, knowing that whatever happens, you can maintain your self-confidence and serenity. See yourself radiating an inner beauty which eclipses any disfigurement. See yourself poised and in control of every circumstance. Step 3. She emerged from the session feeling that a load was removed from her shoulders. She promised to keep up the use of these mental instructions in her Hypno Cybernetics sessions. She became a joyful, more outgoing person, and within a year was married to a young man who had one leg damaged in Vietnam. Perhaps there was a psychological link between her own imagined disfigurement and his, a real one. At any rate, she'd begun to live again. The final step is easier than you think. Step 3 is easy. It's as easy as daydreaming. You enjoy a moment of seeing yourself as you want to be. What do these life goals conjure up in your mind's eye? I'm a great person. I conquer circumstances. I have supreme confidence in myself. I can achieve my goals. I think big. Can you see yourself great? Can you visualize yourself the master of your own ship, able to ride out a storm and go on to reach the port you started out for? Can you hold a mental picture in your imagination of yourself standing erect with a posture of confidence and just radiating success? Chi, young man, told Mr. Stone he just couldn't see himself becoming what he wanted to be, a writer. Publishers don't talk to amateurs like me, he said. You have to be a name. Every successful writer was once an unknown. Yes, he replied wistfully, but they must have had some entry. They must have known somebody, or maybe they had some inside help. Inside help was exactly what they had. Their entry was the words, I can. If you truly believe you can't, you won't. If you truly believe you can, you most certainly will. This young man learned Hypno Cybernetics quickly. He used one series of pictures in step 3 repeatedly. He saw himself a writer, sending off manuscripts, receiving checks, depositing them, then going back to his desk to write again. In less than a year, these mental pictures came true. He sold his first article. It was about the power of mind. The secret of mental picturization. How does it work? Is it some kind of magic, occultism, mysticism? Of course not. It is just plain common sense applied in a very practical way. Everything created in this civilized world started with a mental image. If it was a building or a home, that mental image became a sketch, then a design, then blueprints and specifications, then it was built. If somebody saw that there was a need for a more comfortable bed, and that possibly liquid instead of solid material could provide this extra comfort, that idea or image was then tried out in a small model, and finally the full-size waterbed was born. I want to study physics. I'm going for my master's in psychology. I just got my real estate license. These everyday happenings were all at one time mental images. They were held long enough and enthusiastically enough so they became motivating forces in the subconscious mind. If a person really did not want to study physics, but was just mouthing the words to make his physicist father happy, how far do you think he would get? If a person really did not think he or she had the ability to become a psychologist, but just liked to talk about it, would it be likely that a master's degree would be successfully attained? And what about the real estate license? Does it not represent a true belief in the outcome, an acceptance by the person that he or she could and would become a licensed real estate agent? These images held long and strong enough will move each person to make them come true. Long enough might mean years. Strong enough might mean a consuming desire that is always with you. You might think of nothing else. With Hypno Cybernetics, however, long enough means only a few minutes a session, and maybe 5 or 10 sessions in all. And with Hypno Cybernetics, strong enough means only that you can visualize clearly, so you can accomplish quickly and easily the same life-shaping goals that others work long and hard at. This is the magnificent ability of the subconscious mind. All of the following hypno-cybernetic commands are yours to use now. If you've gone through the paces of step 1 and step 2, you are ready right now to begin some miraculous changes in your life. For example, would you like to make 6 hours sleep as restful as 10 hours? Then here's your step 3. You visualize yourself sleeping for 6 hours. See the clock hands turning slowly. See your body soaking up all the rest it needs. See your vital organs thoroughly rejuvenated. See every muscle, every tissue, every bone, and every fiber in your body getting all the benefit from 6 hours sleep that it would get from 10 hours of sleep. See yourself awakening after 6 hours sleep, thoroughly rested, full of energy, and at a high level of well-being. Would you like to get out of the doldrums and become a powerhouse of energy? Then here's your step 3. See yourself changing gradually as a flower might unfold in the sunshine. See yourself changing from down to up. See yourself becoming more aware of the great pleasures and experiences that lie ahead for you. See yourself bursting with enthusiasm each day and overflowing with creative energy. See yourself enjoying your work as it carries you toward life's great rewards. Would you like to become a more popular person, one to whom other people are drawn? Would you like to electrify your personality? Then here's your step 3. See yourself able to be yourself. See yourself removing the mask that you've been wearing. See yourself getting out of the straitjacket of conformity that has inhabited you, from radiating your full self to others. See yourself now free to say and do those things that are uniquely you, to be spontaneous, original, and expressive. See yourself the center of attention and interest as others are attracted to your outgoing personality. These are powerful commands. They program your subconscious to move you in the direction you need to go. The push is irrepressible. There is no effort needed to goad yourself on. No discipline, no spur. Indeed, it would take effort on your part to prevent yourself from becoming your new self. These commands are particularly powerful because they are broad, comprehensive, and general. They help you reach major long-range goals. You will find similar broad commands to revitalize your health, add points to your IQ, make a more effective executive, expand your influence over others, and attract lucky breaks. However, you will also find more specific commands for accomplishing immediate results. These hypno-cybernetic commands will help you to cure insomnia, stop smoking, lose weight, become more attractive, overcome frigidity or impotence, heighten sexual pleasure, make more money, conquer any fear or phobia, improve memory, play better golf, learn any skill faster, increase physical stamina, get a quick promotion, find the right job, add to bowling scores, see and hear better, be more aware, read other people's body language, solve special problems or enhance intuition, be more creative, and then amplify extrasensory perception, and accomplish scores of other major improvements in your life. Conscious effort to break some habits and to improve one's life often fails in the long run. You may stop smoking, but then you begin to smoke again. When a diet ends, you often gain back all of the lost weight. Results from other discipline changes can be just as temporal. Some changes are next to impossible through sheer conscious willpower. With hypno-cybernetics, changes are not only possible, but they are always successful. They are easy. They are permanent. You can create commands to achieve your unique goal. You may have none of the problems or needs listed above. Yours is special. You may be the only person in the whole world with this particular problem or combination of problems. You may be the only person in the world with the goal that you have in mind. Can hypno-cybernetics help you? It certainly can. In fact, it is designed for use by the individual to accomplish individual goals. You will see how scores of people have helped themselves with hypno-cybernetics. No one situation is alike. This will help you design hypno-cybernetic commands just for you. A retired person's dilemma. Mrs. G is a retired school teacher. Her family has grown up and married. She has been divorced for several years. Now she frequently finds herself in states of depression, loneliness, and anxiety. She brings her complaint to her family doctor. He prescribes sedatives. She tries them and they help for a while, but then she becomes dissatisfied with the effects of the medication. So she goes to a psychiatrist. Months pass and she becomes unhappy with the lack of progress. She heard about hypno-cybernetics through her son-in-law, who has used it to stop smoking. She understands that the commands she used to break the nicotine habit are useless to her, but she realizes that if she could develop communications to her subconscious with step 1 and step 2, she could use this communication line to develop step 3, the new commands that she needs. She gets good results in step 2, arm levitation in just a few minutes. She then commands her subconscious to produce her conscious mind the reasons for her moody depression. Then she sits in her straight back chair with arm in the air and waits. As she sits there, she realizes that her present lifestyle is creating loneliness and anxiety. In order to end these depressions, she would have to go back into teaching or some other productive and satisfying activity. She ends her session. Then she thinks about the critical appraisal she has just been a party to. What should she do? What creative work is she capable of? She gets a number of ideas. Each time she rejects them, she's not able. She's no longer can do this or do that. A few days pass and she gets another idea. She gets back in the chair and the hand raises. She gives herself positive, confident, building commands. I can achieve. I have supreme confidence. 1 month later, she becomes a partner in a new nursery school. She is today an active and successful businesswoman. There is no end of benefits that hypno-cybernetics can bring to you. There's no limit to the success and happiness that can be yours. There are no bounds to the human potential, but there must be a beginning. That beginning is the 3 steps presented to you in this chapter. Take these 3 steps now. Step 1, the chair. Step 2, the automatic finger signal. What should you use for step 3? Try this one for size. I see myself learning hypno-cybernetics so that I become master of my destiny. So do step 1, do step 2, and step 3. Give step 2 special attention. The more of a rise you can get out of yourself, the better. A movement of the right index finger is fine, but then try to get all the fingers, then the wrist, then the whole arm. Here are instructions for step 3 that will help improve your results. I see myself getting into a better and better state of subconscious communication each time I try. I see my whole arm levitating easily and quickly. I see my instructions being accepted by my subconscious mind and acted upon effectively. And so this is a pretty darn good introduction for Hypno-Cybernetics, Helping Yourself to a Rich New Life by Robert B. Stone and Sidney Petrie. And I highly recommend it for the additional chapters. There's several more that talk about how to end your money problems, how to achieve power and control over everyone, how to release irresistible energy, how to be a leader, so many other things that it's amazing. There's 20 chapters in this that go on and on. I love the combination of Sidney Petrie and Robert B. Stone. It's a little different than when he writes with Jose Silva, but there is a unique idea that we need to pull from this, and that is communicating with your subconscious mind by getting signals. Some people do a lean or some different kinds of muscle exercises, but this is a pretty simple one. If you can follow the technique with the finger signal or your arm and do it honestly, don't just lift it yourself. Let your subconscious lift your finger. And then you know your subconscious is right there waiting to talk with you. It's a way to say, hey, subconscious, are you listening? And then the subconscious does this. You may have some other way of communicating with your subconscious, but this is a good starting point if you don't, to use the automatic finger signal. So I want you to try it out and let me know your results. Did you feel like you were lifting it consciously, or did you let your subconscious lift your finger? And I will create a meditation or add this as a step in a future meditation so that we can work on our subconscious in a unique way. So there's a lot to this. You can create whatever affirmations that you want. There's several different things. You can program whatever you want. Just got to get relaxed. You got to access the subconscious by getting a signal from it. Oftentimes we can access the subconscious anyway, but by getting a signal, it's very helpful. And hypnosis is one of the most powerful things. I've used it on myself and others, and it can change your life. Getting an understanding of your own personal subconscious conscious interaction is a critical step. Everybody's just a little bit different, and finding the right way to communicate with your subconscious is kind of like cooking food, and there's a lot of ingredients and everybody's going to be a little bit different, but you want to experiment with this. And once you find something that you believe really does bridge the gap between your conscious and your subconscious mind, then work with that. This is one suggestion that is very effective, by using visualizations to access the subconscious and getting a subconscious reaction from your body. You know that your subconscious is right there in that relaxed state. So experiment with this. Let me know how it works, and if you'd like me to add this into some future meditation exercises. In any case, I'm hoping that you're having a fantastic and wonderful day. I love you always. All episodes of The Reality Revolution can be found at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.